Steve Holland. I own this company named Steven's Art Designs and Signs. We are a complete sign company. We do all kinds of signs except for eternally lit signs. But I've had my shop 16 years. I also teach. I teach in the evenings. I've taught for 20 years. I taught 5 years before I had my business. And teaching helped me get started in my business. After college, actually, I'm a graphics artist, so I've worked in Dayton and Cincinnati and here in Wilmington before I started my business. So I guess I've been doing this for 23 years probably. I got started in art by my grandmother, who was an artist. Whenever she came to stay with us, like our parents went on vacation, she would literally set up her easel and do, commissions for customers. So for her to get a job done for a customer, she kept us busy and she taught us how to paint and draw too. So that's how that got started. The most recognizable, well, I'd say the snowy white owl up here is what has really made me big, because everybody also is familiar with the snowy white owl story, how the snowy owl got to Wilmington and everything. And even after that incident happened, people would come to me and say, "Hey Steve, did you do a painting of the snowy white owl?" Well, after you get 30 people asking you if you did a painting of the snowy white owl and you hadn't done it yet, you better do it. So I did it. So it's probably been one of the things that's made me more successful as an artist in this area. You know what I mean, in Wilmington. But if you go to Cincinnati, Dayton, or out of Wilmington, nobody knows. I thought I would go into horticulture, or maybe lean towards music in some way. But no, I didn't think I would be an artist. And it just happened. You find your strong points as you get older. And my parents even told me, "Steve, go towards art in some direction." And I did. And then, but people knew I think art is a gift. I think you can teach somebody to draw or paint, but I also think gifted artists are better than somebody that isn't, because people knew I was an artist before I did. They said I knew my colors before I was 2. That I used to draw and doodle all the time as a real little kid. Then as you got into junior high and high school, you were always picked to do the float or to work on the backdrops of the plays. And then after I got out of high school, even though I worked at McDonald's right after high school, I worked at the print shop here in town, Cox Printing. People would come in and want a logo designed real quick for their business card or something, and I'd do it. Before you know it, everybody kept saying, "You better go to art school." And that's how I went. Inspired me as an artist, probably other artists and their work. Because I know my grandmother, when she'd go to an art show, I'd sometimes go with her and walk around, and I would see maybe in an area they might have high school kids' artwork, and I'd think, "Oh my gosh, how could they do that?" Because it was like a photograph. You thought, how could somebody paint that good to make something look like a photograph? So you start learning how. I've never worked for 16 years. Literally, I've never worked for 16 years. I have come into the shop and played. Now, I've dealt with some hard customers and have fought through some hard situations, but you learn from those things, because the next time that happens, you'll know how to deal with it in a better way. Oh yeah, I've loved what I'm doing. I've always loved art. Now, sure, I'm doing everything there is to do in art to make a living, but I've done it. You got to do banners, you've got to do framing, you got to do matting, you got to do shows, you got to give talks at schools, you just got to do it all. But you can make a living at it if you work hard to do it. And I work till midnight a lot of times, but it's worth it all.